Hello, this is Pedro Silva, and we're doing another episode of How Are We Still Here with Pedro and Tony. And Tony is my brother, and we did a talk last week, and we just got a pretty good feedback, so we are going to do it again. So I'm going to bring Tony on, and we're going to have a conversation about father figures. I'm going to welcome Tony as soon as he pops up by the Facebook elves, and then we'll get started. So it says it's adding him for those of y'all who aren't patient. Let's see. Connecting, and here he is, Tony. All right, man, here we go again.
Yes, we are
Magic,
back.
magic has brought us back together through Facebook. And
Yes.
this week we're going to talk about father figures. And this came up because a guy who's a father figure to us early back in the day was a guy named Chico, who's his daughter Beth is up here on Facebook, so we'll share this with her. But she shared her dad with us for some years, and Chico's still in my life. I'm in my 40s now, and he started dating our mom. I think when
I
when
think
I
I
was
was
like,
around 5.
yeah, you were like 5, and I was about to turn 7. Yeah, and then I was just like, Chico's a cool dude. Do you remember the things he used to say? He used to have this crazy saying he used to say. Do you remember what it was?
It was something about knocking something in the dirt.
No, because he was tough. He said he
Yeah.
said he said, "I love you boys. I'll kill a dead tree stump and put a crowbar in the hospital for you."
Oh yeah.
And I was like, man, that was important, back in the day, like because we were growing up without our dads and stuff like that. And then this dude came in and he just like started being cool with us from the jump. And
Yeah.
and he was a tough guy and a worker guy. He was working he put together fences and stuff,
For
but
Hercules fences.
for Hercules fences, yeah.
Yeah.
And we used to do a little bit of stuff with them. And yeah, he just stepped in and like took us on like we were his sons. Like he didn't even like put us through anything. He just was like, "Oh, I date your mom. You're my sons now," and just went with it. And then after he and mom broke up, he was like, "Well, you're still my boys. I love you." And he's still to this day.
Yeah.
I talked to him 2 days ago. So, but he's one of the father figures, and one of the things Tony and I said last week was like we think some people can relate to our backgrounds and how we grew up and some of the different things, and so I think father figures is a good place to start. So you were saying something when I asked you if you wanted to talk about this subject. You said something particularly sensitive, and we never really talked about our feelings that much. So I'm learning about you and your emotional maturity just at the same time as everybody else because we never really had those kinds of conversations. So what were you saying when I first brought up about father figures? You're like, yeah. And then you said something about make you feel safe and stuff. And I was like, what is this dude saying? Let me listen. So I didn't want you to tell
Yeah.
me too much because I wanted you to say it now.
I mean, for me, although I knew mom was strong as an ox, you know what I mean? She was still like small in stature. To us she was huge at the time, but once we started getting older, it's like she stayed the same height and we got bigger. But it's like knowing that you have that person that can pretty much like protect you,
Yeah.
if you ever get in any kind of situation, not like scrapping or anything like that, but somebody that has that power and that strong voice, you know what I mean? That just by a look will make you shut your mouth, you know what I mean? Like it's just something about that, in a boy's life, and in most cases they say, oh, it's daddy's girl, you know what I mean, and mama's boys, you know what I mean.
Mhm.
But mom being as strong as she was, saying I'm your mama and your daddy, you
Right.
know, it's like it's actually having that person that's there besides mom and say, your mama's right now, you need to listen to her. Because if you don't listen to her, then I'm gonna have to tear your tail up. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't
Yeah.
want no double beating, you know?
Yeah, we got to remind people we're talking about the 70s and 80s. So,
Yeah.
right. But but yeah, I know for me, uh, like not just Chico, but Chico especially because he was there in those formative, first, little years, from like 6 to 12 ish time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stuck around no matter what,
Yeah.
over the years and would pop in, and do different things to remind us that he cared. But like there were other father figures, and I think that for a lot of males, um, it's a complicated thing because especially if you're raised by a single mom, and you just you're trying to. I don't even know, man. Sometimes, like I feel a little bit emotional. I'm probably not going to cry on this Facebook Live, but I'm feeling a little bit emotional. And hearing it from you, it's one thing to have my own feelings and like you know sit in the dark and cry by myself, but it's another thing to hear from someone who shared some life with me.
You
And I
sounded like
want to learn.
Stephen. You sounded like Stephen Hawking.
Oh, I got digitized for a second.
Yes, it was like, I was like, what just
Uh,
happened?
well, basically, I was saying that hearing about that's the universe stopping me from getting too sensitive. But
Oh, yeah.
I was just saying that I like hearing from you your thoughts on how to. I know some of the male figures in your life, but some of them I don't know. Because after I left home, you were still learning stuff, and I don't know, just like I want to talk a little bit about like what it meant to when people were around and what it was like when there was no one around.
Well, when they were around, you were definitely on the straight and narrow. I mean,
Mm,
although mom like did her best to try to keep us there, you know what I
yeah.
mean? But mom had to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? She had to provide a roof over our heads. She had to, make sure we ate every day, took showers, had clothes and stuff like that. So during those times, it would have been nice to have like the dude around, just be like, you know what I mean? Look, it's pretty bad. Sometimes it can be bad out there in them streets. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Like, don't go out there and get caught up. You know how your mama feels, man. It'll break her heart if you end up, in some mess.
Right. Right.
So it's like, yeah, during those times, you know, there was some suspect stuff going on in the streets, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So it was like we just had to try to stay positive the whole time, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, we weren't the only ones going through it, because we had our boys down the street. I mean, although their father was closer, they still didn't see their dad, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not like that. So they
Yeah.
had to raise themselves.
Yeah.
And so for me, besides Chico, honestly, you were a major part of like raising me up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you had to be older beyond your years. Because mom was like, Pedro, I'm gonna need your help raising this one. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't know what's gonna happen to this one. You know? Because I was just like, man, streets, what you talking about streets? I'm going in them streets, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always wanted to know what was going on out there. I mean,
Yeah.
although I had that fear, it still was something that made me go out there, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I don't know if it was because I felt like I was protected or through mom's prayer, through, everything. But I went out there. I was just
Yeah.
like, man, I'm gonna see what's going on in these streets.
Right.
Because I mean, for those of y'all that are wondering why I keep saying streets, that's because that's what they were. You know,
Yeah.
like normal, like every day, you don't have to worry about the danger of it walking down is the streets,
Right.
the roads.
Right.
But when you grow up like we grew up, it's them streets. Plain and simple. It's
Right.
streets. Skreats. However you want to spell it, it was them streets.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's I'm
And
still thankful for whoever was there. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah. And I know Uncle Gatabu was there. when
Oh yeah.
he could be there, and Uncle James and stuff like that. And then, growing up, I don't know about you, but like sometimes like I didn't want people to know that like didn't have our dad living with us. So like if I was hanging out with somebody else, which was rare, but if I was hanging out with somebody else and they had a dad, I just kind of be like, hopefully they think that that's my dad, so they'll think I got a dad too in the house,
Yeah.
something like that. And even like Pastor Fleming when he first came to the church, and I was like, people say, "Oh, you favor Pastor Fleming," and I was like, "Oh," which is probably part of why I ended up becoming a pastor. But they say, "You favor Pastor Fleming," then I'd be like, "Oh, maybe if I stand over near him, they'll be like, oh, that must be his son," and, some kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And part of the reason I got into my relationship with God too was about that. Truth be told, um, but then mom. But anyway, but I guess one of the things I think about is that if you open your heart to a father figure type person, and like it's almost like a sense of humility, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
To be open to guidance from somebody older than you who has some maturity and things like that. And I try to still be that for some other people. Like I got a couple of my friends, their sons, that I stay involved in their sons' lives because I remember that Chico was formative in my life. So I try to be a little bit of a Chico to some other young men. And then obviously I'm raising two girls, two will be young women, and so part of that too is trying to be the father figure I wish I had. You know what I mean? Which
Hmm.
sometimes makes me super serious, and that's why I think when they know you're on the phone, they're just like Uncle Tony, and they get all excited and stuff, and then they start wanting to joke around with you, and then I'll be like, yeah. That's that part of me that's like a little. I have to learn from you a little bit and get a little bit more silly sometimes, but it's it's the big picture, the whole thing. But
Yeah.
is there anything for young men who, if they happen to watch this and they might not have their dad in the house with them, they're being raised by just their mom or the streets, them streets. Like, is there anything that you would want to share with them that's whatever it is, something that's from your heart?
Basically, on that note, I would say find something that you love, something that you're good at, and just focus on that. You know what I mean? And I don't mean if you're good at selling drugs, then focus on that. You know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying. Like I am good at selling drugs. Man, you hear what he said? I'm gonna focus on selling drugs. No, that's not where I'm going with this. You know what I mean? I mean, like music. Like if you like to rap, or you like to sing, or like you can play an instrument, football, basketball, you mean sports. You know what I mean? Like a lot of our friends growing up, they were amazing at sports. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But they like didn't apply themselves as far as in school and everything. If they had, there's no telling where they would have been.
right.
You know, and that's the same with me. I never really applied myself because I didn't want to live up to the Turner hype. You know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh,
I
really?
was like, man, I can't live up to the Turner Eli hype, man.
Right.
Like I did what I could, and
And you're
because
still
I always,
here.
yeah, I'm still here. You know what I
Right.
mean? I've had several like jobs that are pretty kind of high up there, and because although it seemed like I wasn't learning, I was learning.
Mm,
I just took it at my own pace. You know what
right.
I mean? So
Yeah.
I would always say, don't try to live up to the hype. You know what I mean? Be
Hmm.
your own person, and that's the only way you can live with recording this now. Oh, dang banana. Get a banana, doggone it. I don't believe this, man. She over here raising her hand. And I'm like, hold on, we're recording. She's like, can I have a banana? I'm like, Mom, get a dang banana already. You got to ask me for a banana and it's hanging right there. Doggone it, we are recording, woman. I don't believe this.
Oh. Mom's hilarious. But
I can't believe the.
Well, raise my hand.
well, yeah, I think that's pretty good advice, man. I think that's the same thing with me. Like what I decided, using that whole paradigm about like thinking that I wasn't gonna live past 18, I was like, man, let me just learn as much as I can learn. And like that's why I was reading books all the time, and I'm still reading books all the time. And the other thing, which I don't know if you relate to this, but I never wanted grandma to be embarrassed at my funeral. That was like my standard. I don't think I ever
Oh,
told you about that.
Jesus.
But my standard was like, oh, somebody's probably gonna kill me before I'm 18. So I don't want grandma to have to say, oh, I don't want people to say Pedro was a good boy, at my funeral, and then everybody's like, no, he wasn't. Like
Yeah,
that dude was a bastard. Excuse my language. But I just
yeah.
like,
That's why he's dead now. Was he
yeah,
good? Was it? You don't know
yeah.
what I know.
And our family, I know some of the people in our family is like, if you go to the funeral, they'll say, oh, you want to say Pookie is a good person? Well, let me tell you something. Pookie is in hell. And
Yeah.
I was like, they are not gonna do that to me. I was like, no,
No.
sir. They are not gonna give me a funeral where they start telling everybody where I am and all this
Yeah.
other stuff. I was like, I'm chill. I'm gonna live my best 17 years now. And then so happened I ended up living longer.
Yeah.
So I'm still here. But that was my standard. And so I took whatever little father figure energy that showed up in my life. I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn that lesson from this person, that lesson from that person, and I'm gonna piece
Mhm.
together. I had like a Frankenstein father figure up in my brain that I tried to like connect to with a little bit of Chico, a little bit of Uncle James, a little bit of Eddie Murphy when he played one of those family movies, a little bit of one dude that used to be cool, but now he's in jail. I won't say his name, but he wore Coogee sweaters. That dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, if anything ever happens to that guy, I don't know what I'll do. I'm glad it didn't happen till I was an adult and I was my own person.
Yeah. His
Sorry,
name
Coogee.
doesn't his name rhymes with probably.
Yeah, will probably. And
Yeah.
but those Coogee sweaters. But
Yeah.
but but that's what I did. I pieced together a Frankenstein father figure. Some of the people I met in the military, some other people that showed up in my life um, over the subsequent years, and I'm still piecing together, father figures, and I'm trying to live into being the father figure to my own children that I want to have. We're gonna have mad outtakes if we keep doing this with mom in the house. But
God.
but anyway, I know you have to get ready to go to work and everything, but some people said that they got something out of it, so I want us to keep doing it and figuring out, what we can share from our experiences, what we can learn from each other, and keep going from there. And then
Yeah.
what are you gonna say?
Oh yeah. And one more thing. This is for the single moms out there. I know there are a lot of them these days,
Yeah,
more so than back in our day, which is crazy.
right.
You know what I mean? But a lot of them are single because of them streets. Because their significant other, whatever, went out there, did something, or got killed, or anything like that. And what I can say to them is, stay strong, no matter what. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Don't keep
yeah,
your head down, because if you stick to your kids and you teach them the right way, there's no way that they're going to go down that same path. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It starts in the home, period.
yeah,
It starts in the home. I mean, no matter what people say, demons aren't born. You know what I mean?
hmm,
Demons are manifested
yeah,
through their surroundings by, the things that they see. And if they don't have anybody home that really cares or give a doggone about them, that's how they end up out there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like you got to stick on them, like
right.
regardless, no matter what it is. There's no, you know what I mean? They're your children. You are their support system, and you just got to stick by them. Period. Plain and
Yeah.
simple.
And to that point
And
too, I would say the mentor, like if you're in a position to mentor somebody, if you're in a position to mentor somebody, then take that opportunity. And it doesn't take much, because I know I grab for any little seed I could get. And I think that most young men, if someone shows some interest in them, then they'll take that little bit of interest in, like, take it wherever they can take it. So if you are a person, if you have children, like my daughter, I have some friends and Black women friends, and I asked them, like, hey, will you talk to my daughter, because I want my daughter to have some consistent relationship with Black women that can help them see themselves in the future and get a firmer sense of themselves. And it's like, back in the day, people used to care about each other's kids too. And so I try to, like, encourage my children to engage with other people who are going in a direction that they want to go. Because even if I can't be everything for them, my wife can't even be everything for them. And so I try to encourage that as well. So it's still not too late to they say it takes a village to raise a child. And it's still not too late to create villages for your children. Or you can use technology like Zoom or something like that, and or Facebook Live or Facebook groups and stuff, and do some other things to encourage that growth and that maturity and other things that sometimes we miss out on. So yeah. Well, again, man, I appreciate you. I like learning about you as we're doing this, and hearing your wisdom and your take on some different things as well. And I'll just keep doing this and see where it goes. And there's a lot of subjects out there that we could talk about. So I'm looking forward to seeing. But I wanted to also be organic. I want to be something that comes up in our lives naturally that we can then discuss. One of them I do want to talk about, though. I'm gonna make a video about this on my own too, but then I want to do one with you. Is about Blackness, but you know how sometimes some people say that person is not Black enough and all this other stuff like that. Like, I want to talk about that a little bit in a broader scale. And then I also want to do something where maybe me and you and like 4 other Black dudes, Black men, get together and do something, and we record it and then share it with people and just share our different diverse perspectives on stuff. So I'm gonna try to think of 2 people, and I want you to think of 2 people, and we'll just get like it may be somebody from where we grew up or whatever, and just try to do something together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'm thinking about Carl, actually.
Dude.
Is that the same person you're
thinking
about?
Yes, I was thinking Carl and like Marcus, if we could get Marcus. Yeah. All you know what I mean? I was thinking the same thing, man. That's crazy, yo.
Cool. All right.
I mean, all my boys I love all of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like something about like me and Carl had a different connection. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like people even thought I was him for a while. They were like, man, you gotta be one of their brothers. You know what I mean? This guy even called me Carl one time. Hey, Carl. I was like, dude, my name ain't Carl. It is you, man. I'm like, my name isn't Carl. My name is Tony, yo. You know what I mean? This dude was not having it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, if Carl wants to do that, since we both thought of him, we got to get him on that.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. Well, thanks for being candid with me and doing this with me. And make sure Mom gets her banana. All right.
She already ate it.
I ate banana, but I got tears in my eyes because
That's Mom. You came in here late. We were already talking about you from the start.
What bad stuff?
Nobody saying anything bad. Look, hey man,
people watching. Go ahead. Talk to you later.
This is live, right? So you need to. It's live. Like people are watching it while we're recording it, and you in the background. I'm like, good God! See this? You see? This is what I got to deal with.
I thought you were just talking to Pedro.
No, I'm not just talking to.
Oh, you got
love you.
I'll talk to you, bro.
All right, talk to you later.
All right,
Bye.
man. Bye.